people will revisit a company that provides them with good support. And if you provide someone with bad support, then that's a surefire way to lose a customer for life. So if you're thinking about the lifetime value and you're looking at it through that lens, it's just, if you can do a better job with customer support, it's going to pay you off.
You're listening to The Growth Booth, the show focused on achieving lifestyle freedom through online businesses. Whether you're looking for step-by-step strategies to start building an online business, simple game plans to grow your business, or proven lifestyle freedom frameworks, you are in the right place. Stay tuned and be sure to join the thousands of listeners already in growth mode.
Aidan Booth here, welcome to episode number 27 of The Growth Booth, where today we're going to be talking about tips and tricks and tools that you can use to streamline customer service, which is incredibly important for any kind of an online business, and even offline businesses that have got an online presence need to have a mechanism for making sure that their customers are looked after in the best way possible. And you've got an incredible spectrum of opportunities here. When I got started online way back in the mid 2000s, 2005, 2006, I was just using an email address, and it was probably the most inefficient way, but it was still a way to provide customer service. Now, in our company, we've had support desks that we've used since 2008, so we've been using them for over 14 years now. And I'm joined here today by our customer support manager, Melissa Contreras, who I met many moons ago when she was building an online business of her own. And I couldn't think of a better person to come on here and talk to us here today, because she has absolutely transformed what we've done. She's implemented new tools, new software, new methodologies, different things that we've been able to do to automate a lot of the customer support and in lots of different areas of our business. So I think if you agree that a customer needs to be treated well and a customer is really important to business, then it's worth thinking through a little bit about how you could streamline and automate your support operations and make sure that you're giving users, customers, and it could be customers on an e-commerce store, an affiliate store, a product that you may have, making sure you're giving your customers a good experience, and think about ways that you can streamline that just so that you can save yourself time and money. So Melissa, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to be here with us today.
Thank you, Aidan. It's really great to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
So I think we could just get straight into the details here. So when we're talking about a support desk, what exactly is a support desk? Some people might not be familiar with what we mean when we talk about support desks.
Sure. So what we're talking about here is a specific software, or it's a specific tool that businesses can use to help manage the customer queries that come in through different channels. It could be email, it could be social media. So it's a way to organize all of those queries that are coming in from customers and hopefully help you prioritize those queries. Like you said, automate them, automate the workflows, the way you respond to them, and maybe even if you have support teams, how to organize those teams and how to get feedback, gather intel from those support tickets, support queries, so that you can get more information about what your customers are thinking, what are the pain points that they're facing, what are the issues that they're facing. So all those things, a customer support desk is a tool that can help you do all those things.
Before using a customer support desk, what I used to do was have a notepad on my desktop, and I would get these common questions coming in and I'd be replying through my email. So if someone would send me a question asking about how they return a product that they've purchased, like through an e-commerce store, for example, I would have these custom answers, and it would, I'd open up the notepad, I'd copy that, I'd paste it into the email, and then I'd send it off. But that's pretty different to what we do these days. So maybe you could, open people's eyes a little bit about some of the ways that we can automate that, or at least streamline it with, little tricks and so forth.
Yeah, sure. So, you touch on something that is one of the things that is most helpful about having a support desk. So, like you said about a notepad with all these common questions, then if you have a support desk, then you can have a knowledge base. And that is something that most help desks out there is something that it's included in their offers. And that is just a place where it's a repository of information, typical questions that come in, how do I log in? How do I get this, whatever feature in this product to work, or I can't, just basic troubleshooting, that if you had somebody actually physically answering those types of questions again and again and again and again, it just wastes time, and you can better serve people by having them just quickly search for this information on this, search for that on a knowledge base, quickly get their answer responded, and then save the agent's time, the support agent's time, for something that is a bit more involved. So that's one of the things that is that's called, that's level 0. So that's the self-service kind of.
So is this like a page, when you talk about a knowledge base, are you talking about an additional page that you might add to your website? So let's use an example. Let's say back in the good old days of e-commerce, we used to have a website that sold train horns. So these were obnoxious things that people would put on their car, and they would drive down the street and, you know, scare old ladies and things like this. So they weren't very nice. But anyway, a lot of people used to buy them. And if someone was thinking about buying one of these things, they might have a question. Are you saying that a knowledge base is something like an extra page that we can put on our website and direct people to? Is that sort of how they work?
It could be. So you could have physically a page on your website with a frequently asked questions on it, with all of that information on it, and it could just have a search function, so people could easily put a few keywords, and then the information that's relevant to them would pop up. Or you could have all that information, you know, what you would have before on your notepad, you could have all that added into a chat bot, for example. So that's also something that, you know, because nowadays especially, people want speed and they want convenience and getting information. So if you have that little widget on the bottom there, or wherever it is, that can quickly answer questions, that's another way. And then a third way is the actual support desk software will have on the portal. So where you're going to type in or submit a support ticket, for example, it could also have a knowledge base on that portal where these typical questions could be hosted as well.
I think there are also ways that you can, well, I know there are ways that you can sort of filter people through to get to ultimately what they're trying to find out about. So I'll give you an example. We've recently set up a new office here in Buenos Aires, and I've been installing internet. And in Argentina, one of the most common support channels now is WhatsApp text messages. So this company that I'm getting the internet from has got a WhatsApp account, and I can start a conversation with them just by typing hello, and then they will send me a multiple choice. You know, what do you want to find out information about? Is it about your account? Is it about new installation? Is it administrative stuff? And so on and so forth. And then that can automatically sort of funnel me to where I want to get to, and ultimately lead me to either talking to a representative or to one of these knowledge bases. So it's amazing how, you know, with all the mobile technology and the way that people are changing how they interact, a lot of these support desks are enabling us to do this kind of a thing now. And, you know, if I think back 10 years ago, it's just mind-blowing how much it's all changed. And you mentioned the little chatbots that sort of pop up in the corner of a website or something. I mean, these are almost like standard practice these days. It used to be standard practice to have a phone number, but now, you know, not many people pick up the phone. It's more important to have one of these little chat widgets, which, speaking of that, these chat widgets, are these sort of run-of-the-mill things that support desks offer to be able to be installed on websites, or?
Yes, most of them will have it. Maybe not in the basic plan. So if you're just starting out and you just want a basic plan, maybe some of those, depending on what company you're working with, it will or not included in the basic, you know, package that they offer. But certainly in a mid-level, they will most certainly, almost all of them have some kind of widget. Yeah. And also,
what kind of yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just mentioning that it's also part of this larger, it's kind of philosophy of, you know, be where your customer is. So like you were saying, if you're on WhatsApp, if you're on Instagram, if you're on, you know, all these little social media apps or chat widgets, if you can find a way, it's called omni-channel support desk, customer support service. So all of these will ultimately funnel, like you say, into just one shared inbox. So you will have, when you log into one of these desks, you will have email tickets, a chat widget, messages, something from messages from Instagram, all, if you have them all linked up, all into just one long queue that you can then prioritize and then redistribute and assign to different teams, and yeah.
If you think about the logistics that would be involved in doing this manually, so if you wanted to do this manually, you would have an email account and you'd be logging in there and you'd be replying to people. You'd have a cell phone and you'd be vigorously typing away to answer a WhatsApp message or a text message. You might have a telephone that you'll be picking up at the same time. It's just this omni-channel approach is really the way of the future there. So I think as people building online marketing businesses, it's really important to know that this technology is out there and that it's accessible. Back in the day, going back 14 years when we started using support desks, they were actually quite expensive. But nowadays, I think they are quite accessible. Do you have, just off the top of your head, ballpark figure of what some basics customer support desk might cost?
Definitely. I mean, the one we use, Live Agent, and it just starts off at $15 per agent per month. So if you just had a couple of agents, maybe tier 1 and tier 2, and that was it was, not even for $50 a month, you could have just a really a good solution for organizing all those queries and for responding to customers in the way that's most effective. Yeah.
What do you mean by tier 1 and tier 2? What does that mean?
So very basic troubleshooting. So what I was mentioning before, like how can I log in? So just basic troubleshooting can be answered by its tier 1, level 1 support. So it's a step above that knowledge-based self-service. So once you get into some more in-depth support tickets where you need somebody with a bit more experience, maybe more experience in the product or the service that you're offering, or just more experience in handling customers, then that would go to tier 2. Sometimes you have subject matter experts, then you might have tier 3. So it's just a way of organizing. So you don't have an agent that's possibly more expensive because they may have more experience answering tickets that somebody else with less training can answer.
Right. So if someone has got an e-commerce store or an affiliate business and they're wondering, should they put a support desk on, one way that they may be able to save themselves some time using a support desk is to, and money, is to hire someone to do that low-level support, which might be how can I find out when my product is being shipped? Something like that. That's basic. That could be very low-level support, or how can I make a change to my order? That might be low-level support. Right. And you could hire someone anywhere around the world and just plug them into this without needing to give out, important company email account credentials and stuff. I guess they can just log in from anywhere. So you could have a virtual assistant in the Philippines or wherever. And then you could have, you yourself could have an account, and maybe you would be the tier 2 because you're the one that might make some of the harder decisions, like whether or not it makes sense to refund someone or to provide a customized solution of some kind. I think this is really, really good stuff. What else can we do with regards to, or how else can these support desks help us from a staff management standpoint?
From staff management standpoint, it also, besides helping you to make sure that those resources are going to the right person, it also the support desk can also give you metrics, so you can see, ticket volume, for example, how long each of your agents takes in responding to a ticket. So you can kind of also agent ratings. So your customers, it's always a good idea to have built in a sort of feedback mechanism, and your customers can rate the agent that's helping them. And then you can also see, okay, this person is really good. This person is customers are happy when they deal with so-and-so. Customers aren't so happy when they deal with this other person. So you know who you want to keep, and that kind of helps you as well to make sort of decisions with respect to staffing.
I guess it would become very apparent who your superstar team members were, and maybe where their strengths lied, and adjust accordingly.
And there's also ways. So, for example, the support desk that we use has a little feature that I love, and it's something that tells you when the support agent is online. So it has a little green light on that says that they're online. But it also lets you reach out to that person with it's a messaging feature within the support desk. So usually when I have new people that I'm training, and so I'm keeping an eye on how they're answering, obviously we've trained them previously in general, but then I'm keeping an eye on how they're answering tickets. With this little feature, I can immediately see, so that person is answering, I can immediately see, I can immediately send them a message. Or if they just responded, I can right away. It's a good teaching opportunity, right? Right there live. Oh, it's better to say this, or it's better to include. Maybe it would have been a good idea to include this other link. So that's something that Live Agent, for example, has, and when we worked with them and other support desks, it didn't have. I missed it. So it's a little feature.
Yeah.
That seems like it wouldn't be that important, but it's actually, for me, it's helped as a training tool.
This episode is brought to you by Cartsy. Cartsy is an all-in-one e-commerce shopping platform that can help you build an e-commerce business in record time. It provides you with all the bells and whistles that you need to get started selling your own products online, and it's incredibly easy to use, built for newbies who want to grow an online business without all the hassles and headaches that come with other shopping platforms. If you'd like to learn more about Cartsy and take advantage of a special offer that we've set up, and I can do that because I'm actually the owner of Cartsy, then head over to thegrowthbooth.com/Cartsy. That's spelled CARTZY. That's thegrowthbooth.com/Cartsy, and get more information about how we can help you build an e-commerce business and how you can unlock the power of Cartsy today. Now back over to the episode. We've had it really is a good feedback mechanism and a good way that you can chime in and help bring people up to speed. We've been through multiple different support desks over the years. I can't even remember the names of all of them now. Is there anything that comes to mind? This was one thing that you said that you would miss about Live Agent, which is the software we're currently using, if it wasn't there. With the other support desks that we use, are there any things that sort of scream out to you like, that one was tough to use because of such and such, or that one was missing such and such, just to give people an idea of some of the things that they should potentially look for when they are comparing different support desk options?
Yeah, well, okay, so when comparing different support, I actually have a few notes on that. And when looking for support desks, so obviously, on a very basic level, they will all create, a support ticket number that'll help you identify. It'll help you create different queues in different departments and different teams, and that's a queue. What it is a way to group tickets together, and so that they can be prioritized. So, for example, you could have a billing queue, you can have an admin queue, you can have a technical queue. You can have a VIP queue if you have, for example, a group of customers that you've labeled as VIP. So you should look for always the customer support desk that you use has to have a way to create these different departments, these different queues. Like you said, also, it's important to have a way to assign different roles to the team, to the support agent. So you were mentioning, like an admin role versus a regular agent role. So that's important, so you can give access to special parts of the support desk. That's for security purposes, like you mentioned. And also not just security, but I guess that's part of security. If you want to give somebody the ability to change an online support form, for example, or change general settings like labels and things like that, then you want to be able to have different roles and permissions. There's also the ability to add, for example, customer details. So when an agent is answering a ticket and you have name and email, it's really helpful also to have on the side, for example, what were the other, the latest products that they purchased. Maybe a little list. Some of them have a little list, which is what some support desks have had and that I haven't had, that I've missed, and that's why we've gone back to Live Agent. It's like a little list on the side of their recent tickets, and that kind of it's these little things that quickly just help you very
builds up a
quickly
history.
answer it. Yeah, a little
You know
history,
who
so
you're
you can
dealing
see. Another thing is labels and tags are important, because with labels and tags, even little things like I said, VIP. So you have a group of customers in your database that you say, this is a group of people that I want to offer special, VIP level support to. Then they can be filtered out to a kind of priority type base, a high priority queue, and you want your best agents on it and people with a lot of good experience. So that's another thing that's important. merging tickets and the way tickets are merged. So what that means is you'll always have people that submit lots of tickets on the same thing, and that can just sometimes it'll clog up your support ticket, and then you might have different agents answering the same question, which is it could be a problem. So definitely you have to have the support desk has to have some kind of mechanism that prevents two agents answering the same ticket at the same time, and also that you can merge tickets so that you all have all the information on just one thread, and keep it well organized like that, to avoid just having different people giving different information maybe, and it just adds to the confusion.
Awesome. Well, there's
those are
lots of good ideas there, and I think one thing I would say is don't choose a support desk just based on price, because by spending an extra $10, you might get something that is so much better than something that was $10 cheaper. Especially if you're thinking about building teams, I mean, at any given time, depending on what we've got going on, we could have 30 or 40 different support desk people, agents in different parts of the business, and you need a way to manage them. So hopefully as your business grows, you'll be able to slot more people in, and the support desk will grow with it. Speaking about that, one of the projects that you've been sort of masterminding in our business recently is consolidating support across different businesses. So if someone has got an e-commerce store, for example, maybe they've got an e-commerce store and they need to manage support on that, then maybe they've created some info product for themselves and they need to manage support on that. Maybe they've got a little piece of software or something, they need to manage support on that. How do these support desks manage that consolidation of multiple projects? Is that possible, or what does that look like?
So that's also, if that's important to your business, then you do need to look at the features of the support desk software that you're looking into to make sure it offers. So that's like it could be multi-brand support. That's what they call it. So if you have, for example, if you offer different products and you want, for branding purposes, you want each of those to have its own separate support portal where people log in and just different from the main brand of the company, then you could sign up for this it's called multi-branding. But what it does is, even though there's these different faces of support for these different products coming in, they're all landing in the same support account, and you'll have this one team that you can then segregate into different departments if you needed to, because you might have different products, but they're using the same team of developers, for example, or they're just using the same. Yeah.
Right. So that would give flexibility.
Yeah.
For one. And this is something that we've been doing with some of the companies and different projects that I've spoken about in the past on this show. For example, Float Hosting, for example, Cartsy, our e-commerce shopping platform. And these are great examples of being two completely distinct projects, but we can manage the support for them in one support portal or support desk, if you like, and we can set up multiple tiers of kinds of support. So Float Hosting, for example, there are people that are going to try to log into their hosting and they've forgotten their username or password, and that can be one tier of level. There are other people that want to migrate from another host over to Float Hosting, and that's something that we can definitely take care of for people, and there'll be another team that does that. And then the same thing exists with Cartsy as well, where we've got those multiple levels, but some of the resources, I assume, could be shared between the different desks. So if someone was asking how to reset a password on Cartsy, the same person might be able to answer how to reset a password on Float Hosting.
Yeah, and it's not only people resources that you're sharing, but also, like we said, like the knowledge base articles could be, they could be transferable to the different brands. Yeah. And there's also a feature in these customer support desks that's called, sometimes they're called predefined answers or canned messages. So which is just another way to automate your responses. So you have within your support desk a way to add a quick response that you've already pre-built. It's like a template basically that you pre-built and loaded onto the support desk. And that also is something that can be shared and can be used for different types of products. Even if you don't use it as is, but you can just adapt it, and the person who's responding can just quickly use that template to respond.
What about if someone is thinking about this and they're listening to this and they like the sound of a few of these things, but they start thinking, well, if I want to use outsourcing or find a VA, virtual assistant, and have them sort of plug into this, I'm concerned about the kind of access they're going to get. Are there ways to limit the access or really sort of monitor, I guess, closely to make sure to the ways that people can sort of dip their toes in the water a little bit and not go all in on a support desk until they're comfortable? Or maybe it's not that they're not comfortable with the support desk, it's that they're worried about giving up control to other people who might not have proven themselves yet. Any ideas about that?
Yeah, so you can definitely even kind of limit the access of the people in your team, even as far as by like departments or by queue. So you can do it by saying, I want this person to only respond to login tickets, if that's what you wanted, for example. I'm just giving an extreme example, but if you wanted this person to you just want to test them and see how they're answering before they ruin your reputation and you don't know what's going on, you can say, okay, I'm just going to have them answer login tickets and see how they do. And then you can open it up to like a whole department of, for example, of like admin, if that person is worthy of that responsibility.
I'm imagining as well that, for people that have got websites potentially in multiple languages, you could have people, you could have one area of the support desk that might be in Spanish, another area that might be in English, and it could use all the same support desk and it could be managed the same way. So as someone managing this, you can still track performance, you can make sure that we're doing a good job on support, but again, sort of streamline operations. I think for me, the real big win here is that you can streamline when you're using a support desk. You can actually save a lot of time and money, even though you're going to be spending a little bit of money to get up and running with a support desk. I mean, the whole idea is that it actually saves you time and money. And one thing that I've always thought of from a support standpoint is, if I keep getting a question asked to me, then I want to answer it for the last time. What can I do to answer this question for the last time, so that I don't have to go through and write out an answer over and over again? And that there is the perfect candidate for taking a question and turning it into a knowledge base type article or a video or whatever it might be. One other thing I wanted to ask you about, and I think this is related to these knowledge bases, but about like short codes and ways that you can quickly pre-fill, I guess you could say, pre-fill a response. So someone asks a question, it's a question you've been asked 100 times before. Are there buttons you can press or codes you can put in to quickly populate the reply?
Yeah, so this would be in that realm of the predefined answers that I was just mentioning a while ago. So it's either you can have either a full-on answer that is a well-developed answer to something that comes up often, but that might have a lot of information or many different steps that have to be included in your answer. So that could be like it's what we call a predefined answer. But you could also have, if you have a chat bot, for example, little canned messages. Hi, thank you for reaching out to us. How can we help you? Even that little thing, just a little snippet of text, just saves the agent typing that, and then maybe they have different chats going at the same time and they're busy just putting and then there's a little button that you press and you just put in a keyword, or sometimes because all these desks also have automations. So when this chat opens, you can say to add this greeting right away. Or you also have a way to say, okay, if you get an email, so you create all these rules in the background. If an email from this group of customer comes, then send out this email template, for example. And that's just something you don't even have to worry about. It just goes, it's automatic.
Yeah.
So that's
definitely rules and automation are incredible for something like this. That's when you can really start almost having that sort of AI artificial intelligence response and having the machine doing the answer for you, and that's where you can really save a huge amount of time. And obviously, the more support questions you get, the more you're going to be able to do this and sort of ramp things up. So I think that's huge. Any final tips or advice?
At the same time, all it would be kind of a final tip and advice is just to remember that all these things in the end are to help make your customer happy. What you want, the objective of all of this is to keep your customer happy. Why? Because happy customers come back and they'll buy from you again. And so in order to increase the lifetime, customer value, you want to provide the best customer support that you can. That doesn't mean it has to be the most expensive. Actually, we've moved from support desks, as you know, that have been more expensive, but have had way too many bells and whistles for my liking, and just end up tripping up support agents, and we've gone back to less expensive, but this is just fine. This is just what we need kind of solution.
Yeah.
And in the end, just make sure it offers you a way to organize, to prioritize, to get feedback, because with that feedback, then, so like you said, I want this the last time to answer this question. So why is this coming up again and again and again? So that's feedback for you to say, okay, so I can improve my product this way. So you wouldn't have known otherwise, possibly. And that's also a way for you to, if they give you good feedback, then you can use as a testimonial. They'll then refer your business to their friends, and that'll bring in more business. So all of that, keeping that in mind, is just it's just, you'd be crazy just not to make an investment like this.
It's amazing when you look at the numbers. Something like 68%, I think it was, of people will revisit a company that provides them with good support. And if you provide someone with bad support, then that's a surefire way to lose a customer for life. So if you're thinking about the lifetime value and you're looking at it through that lens, it's just, if you can do a better job with customer support, it's going to pay you off on your bottom line over and over and over again. I think it's one of these sort of low-hanging fruits that people tend to neglect, which is an enormous opportunity. So, Melissa, thank you so much for taking your time here today. We'll include some of your ideas and links to some of the different websites we've mentioned in the show notes. To everyone listening to this, my final comment would be for you to make sure you check this out. Even if you've got one website, it might make sense for you to start using a support system. And also make sure you tune in next week, because on the Growth Booth episode number 28, we're going to be talking about reverse engineering online business success and some of the things that you can do for yourself to up the chances of you succeeding with real actionable takeaways that you'll be able to get from that as well. So tune in next week. Right now, though, this is the Growth Booth episode number 27. Head over to thegrowthbooth.com, check out number 27 for show notes and so much more. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.